Hi friends, Russell West here, and it's Monday. Let's talk about this week, and I've got a couple comments from last week as well. This is our final week of class. Your voice thread is up and live. Come join me on the question, what promise is so dear around your place that you've cultivated, you've developed a fulfillment system that ensures that a promise made is a promise kept? And I make a case for why that's an important question inside of the voice thread. On Wednesday, you'll post your final storyboard in response to that as well. So I'm looking forward to hearing about these fulfillment systems and how systems and strategies are in play there. Thursday morning at 8 a.m., the final project is due. Yes, the document that I provided said August 18th at 8 a.m. Someone contacted me during one of these announcements, after one of the announcements, and said, hey, I think it's supposed to be the 20th, based on a talk we had or something. You know what? I don't have a vested interest in trying to be right as I'm trying to listen to feedback from the class. So if that's what some thought I said, I switched to August 18th. So if you're wondering why that last shift occurred, that's why it occurred, is me seeking to accommodate your need because I had it to give. But I want something. I want 2 pages. I want the first page, your rule of life, to reflect how this class has impacted you with citations. Now, I've come to learn that the rule of life assignment that I have invoked in this class was a 15 to 20 page paper. Someone told me that this morning in a Zoom call. Well, I didn't know that. Another person had mentioned that that's what they did on their project, but I didn't know that was your assignment. But this is what I'm after. I'm not after 15 to 20 pages. Whatever you're going to have to do, I need you to reflect your rule of life on a single page and reflect how it has shifted, if it has shifted, based on what you've experienced in this class. That's the task for page 1. The assumptions I'm making is that reflects your value system. It reflects something of your postures and your practices and some of your priorities, your projects. My guess it's there. My guess is with the kind of exposure, the wine coop exposure, and so many things that we've looked at, that you might have some slight adjustments or some refreshments that you can braid into your deal. I'm not trying to be right. If nothing has happened for you that reflects on your rule, give me a statement on page 1 describing that. And that will fill a page, but I'm looking for a page that just talks about your rule and this class's impact on it. The second page, by the way, I would call that page Leader Is, Leader Does. If that's your rule, that's what you're doing in your life, it's derived from a value system of what you are, what you value. The second page is the extension of that. This is Community Is, Community Does. The community says it's about this, that, and the other. If so, then we should be able to find evidence of it inside of its social system, its structure system, its strategic system. So I'm asking you to leave your head, go beyond your desk, walk out into hallways, walk in parking lots, visit bathrooms, check the library around your place, go wherever you need to. I've offered you 4 pages in the appendix of all the places you could go to look for cultural artifacts and to see if you can do sense-making work around that. But what I need on that second page is a response to 5 questions. 5 questions. What's okay and not okay to do around here? Walk around your place with that question and write it down. What should we start around here? In light of these values that I have in my rule, what should we start around here? What should we stop around here in light of these values that I have? What should we maintain and keep around here? But we're using your value system as the adjudicator of how you're experiencing the culture and what you might prioritize if someone asked you what should change around the place. Because next semester, you're going to engage this question socially, and you're going to ask folks, what do we need to start, stop, keep? What's okay, what's not okay? You're going to get feedback from folks. And it'd be great if you had your own rule to hang on to when all of their messages come in, something to compare against. So you're not swamped in anxiety or swamped in confusion or swamped by your own system as you begin to learn things. Hint, hint. A lot of what they think needs to be what's okay and not okay, kept, started and stopped, you're going to find will come from the leader's behavior itself, what leaders have modeled. That's how they're going to know what's okay and not okay. And it would be great if you were not defensive at the point that you come to learn that some of the stuff that people want to stop are some of the things that you thought ought to be kept. Now we have the grounds of an interesting conversation. Just like we have the grounds of an interesting conversation with the way you feel about your organization right now. And what I'm offering through this data collection and data learning, database learning process is for you to go beyond the opinions and the swirling internal distortions that are possible with any individual, to go beyond that with external disciplines that allow you to judge even your own experiences, and then to compare that with a wider social circle. You're going to get feedback from people, asking them, what do you all think ought to start, stop, keep, what's okay, not okay, those sorts of things. The second page of this, while you're getting a sense of the audit for yourself, I want you to be aware that I've supplied the appendix to that, not to create confusion or just like, well, does he want 5 questions answered or all of these questions? Please read the instructions again and hear me say, if you would like to go beyond that, you may use this as well. You see, my belief is if someone gave me this assignment, no adult's going to keep me from only doing 2 pages or only asking 5 questions. If I've gotten hot and bothered and have gone to start walking around my place, I'm going to start noticing all kinds of things. What I've tried to do is to furnish you with a menu of things you might want to go look at as you start thinking of start, stop, okay, not okay sort of things. That's what its purpose is. You do not have to answer all those questions right now. In the fall, that's a different story. That's going to get social. You're going to roll out a 3-phase process that results in a service redesign project. It will go something like this. You may notice that your community says we're all about young families. That's one of its values. You go, we say that in these documents, but is it okay? It seems like it's okay to yell at young kids around here. Seems like it's not okay to not spray Lysol in between services. Like someone really keeps that standard around here, so it's not okay to not clean the toys in between. So you've made these observations, and we should keep the temperature check rule on Sunday morning. So you've picked out some things regarding kids. It's family-friendly value that's in your organization's documents. And you started some okay, not okay, start, stop, keep stuff around it. But you also walk around the place and you look at the policy on the wall, or you look at the shape of the room and the quality and the age of the toys that are in there, that they're scuffed and dirty and on and on and on. And you might render a judgment that based on your value system, that's not cool with you. So you're going to start something. You're going to put something in next year's budget. Do you hear what I'm saying here? This need not be deep and distracting. It's probably things you've been thinking about for the last couple of years already. Now you have an evidence-based approach to square yourself against it. So to summarize, I want 2 pages. I want first page to have several propositions about what your rule is, and then how that has adjusted in light of some things that have impacted you from this course on page 1. Page 2 will be the community is, community does dimension of that, where you signal, these are some observations I'm making about our community. I think I'm able to communicate explicitly about some aspects of our community, having observed it in real life in real time. But there's some things that would have to be adjusted to come into congruity with our value system around here, and definitely mine on my leadership watch. So that's what I'm seeking to do. I hope I am not creating confusion, but please hear me saying, I'm trying to offer you work reduction. I'm trying to do a very simple thing. I'd like to see a congruent line that comes from your values, your priorities, that comes out of your body, your postures, that can be identified observably in your practices, your behaviors, probably in your rule. And then it gets converted into the stuff that you're trying to do around that place. We'll call that your projects. That's all. We've shaped the entire semester to move towards this. This I'm offering as a synthesizing experience as we go for closure here. Okay, so that's this week. Last week, I talked about perspective power, and I want to make sure I introduce a correction and a reinforcement as to what I was referring to regarding perspective power. Obviously, I wasn't talking about electricity. I was talking about the power that one can gain by having perspectives that are informed, evidence-based, that allow you to achieve things through them. Bobby Clinton likes to say, the difference between leaders and followers is perspective. The difference between good leaders and better leaders is better perspective. And what I'm trying to facilitate in my courses is so that people leave here as leaders who have better perspective. So last week's class, I uploaded, I don't know, maybe 8, 9, 10 of some of my favorite mental models, constructs, theory building projects, that if folks would absorb them and get familiar with them, they'll have mental models that are available to them. They'll have perspectives inside of them that when they're in a situation, they can isolate and distill things that are going on with it and begin to generate responses, policies, and practices that would be qualitatively different than those who have not reflected on them. And all those folks are just doing knee-jerk reaction sort of stuff. That's what I'm after. That's what I'm trying to do. And I'll continue to press that case as we move into the fall. So I would encourage you to go and look at some of those theory sets again. This week we move into the data collection. It's your first stab with it. And as we move into the fall, most of the fall will be characterized by data collection and learning conversations with your wider community. Now, I have a theory about why some folks may be experiencing some confusion around some of my assignments. If you're not currently leading an organization or a community or part of a structure, and you can't quickly implement your will or shape policy practices, those things around organization, then some of these assignments would be very frustrating and could make you have that imposter syndrome sort of feel like maybe he doesn't know that I'm out here. And well, I am aware that you're out here. So this is what I would do if I was in your shoes and I didn't have an organization that I'm leading. Right now, I don't have an organization that I lead. I am developing my own practice as an executive coach, and any claims that I make would relate to how I would like that business to be shaped in service to folks. But there's no one that I can delegate to. There's no one that I'm going to have a feedback group with. I have no staff. So what I have been doing as it pertains to the values I'm trying to work out, I have contacted friends and I've offered them free coaching in my out of my methodology. And I've said the price of this free coaching would be I need R&D feedback. I need to know how this is impacting folks. So I'm working with about 9 people who are sampling my product, if you will, and are giving me feedback as I make design decisions. But they're not a team that I can influence, but they're making me very aware of what it's like to experience me and my documents and the software programs that I'm using. I need all of that feedback. So leader is, leader does. If you can't tell, I've got some very specific ideas and criticisms even around higher education, around theological education. And if you followed my research, I've put my money where my mouth is. I've got postures and practices and projects which are congruent with someone who has these critiques. I've worked for organizations for 30 years who have gainfully employed me and positioned me in roles where this high P thing can get let loose and systems get shifted and changed. I'm good at it. And I'm asked to do it and paid well at it all the time. So I'm not talking theoretically about what I'm asking, and the hope I have for you is similar to the enjoyment that I have when I work with a small therapy group. There was a group in Louisville that I worked with for about 36 months who had a lot of talk, but they were frustrating themselves because they couldn't seem to get execution going. And as we began working with their executive values and what they really wanted for their lives and how that could get input into the partnership, that organization began to change. They began to experience a congruence between what each partner wanted, the systems that they would use to present themselves to the world, and the evaluative systems, which looked a lot like, are we counting the money that's coming in, and is it coming in at the right rates? Are we deploying it for other investments to our strategy? That organization went from a 3-person team to a 17-person company that took over, that started with about 1,500 square feet. It ended with, I believe it was 7,000 square feet of space, and became one of Humana Health's leading care providers in the Louisville area over a 36-month process. But it was this exact same process that I'm working with you, that we had to figure out, what did the execs want in their lives, their priorities? What were they projecting to people around them? Did people pick up that there was a congruent intensity about their values? Did it show up in every policy, practice? Did they represent themselves well, embodiment-wise, or did they bite it right at the last minute when they should have charged $95 for the session? Did they revert to their old approach and the low esteem that they had for themselves and said, oh, I'll just give it to you for $30 bucks this month? And all this uneven quality stuff. We had to get that stuff straight. Leader is, leader does. Community is, that's where the partnership came in. What does the community do? So they devised, after I harvested, I think it was 7 guiding principles that they would operate off of, a kind of a rule of community life, their value system, and how they would deliver value through it. And eventually a strategy that matched that. So community is, community does. And what they did resulted in their bottom line tripling in 36 months, tripling by 3. Their bottom line tripled over that 36-month period. Okay, now that's a result. That's what I'm doing right now. That's what I am hoping for you, is that you would live with a kind of congruity that when you walk onto a social scene as the organizational leader, you can begin implementing your will. Okay, so if you're not leading an organization right now, you might want to convene some folks who care about that organization, who care about those aspects of it that you care about, and to see what you can do to navigate change. It may be that the best that you would be able to produce is a proposal for change, an appeal for change that goes into the formal organization and lives the life that it lives. But you need not disclude yourself from this assignment simply because you don't have formal organizational power. In fact, I think it's more challenging to achieve organizational change when you don't have formal organizational power. That's been my MO for years. I often walk across the hallway, go to the business office, have coffee with the bursar, and start talking about, if we could get this kind of financial system over in our doctoral program, I did this in Virginia Beach, I could get you this kind of revenue, and I could get it in 3 years' time. And I would go make these relationships all across the campus to achieve the standards that I had hoped for learners, and certainly that I hope for the organization. So I don't really play fair. The organization is a circular space for me, not a hierarchical space. So don't really care what the roles are. Those are just approaches that I would begin to take to see what it takes to help that organization live congruently with itself. That probably is the secret of my charm, is that I tend to pick fights around its own value systems, not my own. Okay, friends, well, that's about enough of this for today. Hope to see you in the classroom. Contact me, send me an email, and if this isn't helping you, let's get into it. Let's get on the phone, whatever it takes for you to succeed. Not trying to frustrate you. I'm trying to make it real, trying to free you. So that ain't happening. Let's get together and let's get you moving, okay? Looking forward to it, my friends. See you in the classroom.